Well, hello again, everybody, and welcome to another episode of What the Fett. I am Macklar, and I'm here with your very own Alliance Queen, Avi. Say hello, Avi.
Hello, everyone.
And coming back to lend us his views and insight again is Hyperlite. So, welcome back, Hyperlite. Glad to have you.
Thanks for having me, Mackler. I appreciate it. Great to be here.
Absolutely. Well, today we're going to be talking about a couple of topics. First, we're going to be going through our speculation on what we think this new Geo Lightside TB has in store for us, and maybe give you some insight, our thoughts on what we can expect from that. And then we're also going to transition a little bit to discuss kind of the state of the game right now and what the game looks like for new players and how some of the mechanics and some of the things have changed since some of us old timers were coming up and dealing with all that. So I'm looking forward to talking about that. And again, thank you guys both for taking the time out of your day to be here.
Absolutely. I have to say though, I need to correct myself from the last podcast that we did. I actually mentioned that my account was 4.5, and I think the reason for that was I was actually in game looking at a guy that had just hit me in arena, and I was looking at his GP. And when you asked me, I said his GP. So my account's actually 5.7 million, and so I apologize for that. And my alt is 3.7, and I actually started a new account a while ago that's about 200k. So just needed to update that from last time.
Well,
So
that
you
was quite a
didn't
big
do an
discrepancy.
over a 1 million dollar or 1 million GP jump in what's it been, a few weeks. That's pretty impressive.
Absolutely, yeah. In addition, I do have to give a shout out to all my shard mates in arena and ships, and also everyone at Alpha, my main guild for my main account, and my alt account, scruffy looking nerf herders. So just wanted to give a shout out to you all, because I know some of you were bugging me about that last time, and so there it is.
Excellent. Well, thank you all for listening as well. We're glad you guys are tuning in. So let's go ahead and get this started off with this new content. If we can, I don't know if I should put air quotes around that or not. What do you guys think? Can we call Lightside GOTB? Can we call that new content?
No, it's really not new content. It's just basically reskinned territory battles. It's not. Yeah, new content is something that's pretty very new, something new and different as far as I'm concerned, anyway. In that sense,
I agree.
But
I agree.
I think the one benefit though that you got to look at it as is for people that like light side characters. This is something that's going to be exciting for them, right? So for some people, they may look at this as, hey, this is fantastic, quote unquote new content, because maybe they're more light side focused, so they're going to be looking at it to utilize the characters that they focused on more than dark side. That could be another piece.
Absolutely. And I think that, there will be a couple things, and we've got the Ackley battle right now, and there's going to be that sort of version. I think it's the Reek that we're going to have in there for light side. So we'll get a little bit different, but mostly it's a reskinning, but a reskinning that allows us to expand our rosters because they're going to come out with new characters again, which can be kind of cool. And also, as you mentioned, being able to use those light side. I'm a light side guy. I prefer to use light side characters. So I am actually looking forward to that.
Me too. Just like the change I'm hoping that's going to happen in arena as well. I think we're all past the Revan stage of utilizing Darth Revan in the team. I mean, I think we're all seeing a mix of different compositions used right now, but I'm looking forward to the change.
it's going to be interesting because we've concentrated so much on the dark side tunes to be able to do the dark side GOTB.
And not just that, the ships too.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, the dark side ships were lacking for a long time.
Yeah.
And that was absolutely necessary for that. So a lot of people are still even trying to catch up with the dark side ships to be able to compete in the GOTB, even higher GP. still have some ships that they haven't really taken to either 7 stars or geared that much, or the characters to go along with it, like Gauntlet, because that has who's it? The Commando and
Imperial Super
Gar
Commando and
Saxon.
Gar
Gar
Saxon, yeah.
Saxon, yeah. A lot of people don't have those geared up, even though right now Gauntlet is like the hot commodity to help you get through some of those dark side ship battles, because it takes the days off of it clears the debuffs off of you.
I, I
And
I was guilty of that as well. I actually didn't have him geared, and I think it was you, Avi, that posted that on in Discord, and I was like, "Wow, you're right. I need to get moving on this." So
yeah, I jumped on the bandwagon long before and did Gar Saxon and Commando, because I just needed something extra in something that I was doing. What, maybe it was the Dark Side Hoth or something, some extra tunes. But in any case, I liked the Gauntlet, and so I just geared them up. So I was gear 12 on them long before a lot of other people were.
nice.
Yeah, and I'm one of those that you're talking about, and I think both of them are G8 for me, something along those lines. Um, but then I also despise ships, so I am one of those ship haters. And if we're throwing out shout outs here, I'll throw a shout out to Hirsch, who on my Discord server, he has his own dedicated ship hating channel just for him. So
Really?
oh yeah, me and Hirsch, we're right there. I despise ships, always have. I hope they're going to be doing something to bring them back. I was really disappointed that we had ships in our Grand Arena this time.
Oh,
I
I
was
hate that.
digging
Yeah, I agree.
the not having them.
I am not really a ship person. When it first came out, I hate him. I hate him. I hate him. And yet, what I did was go ahead and level them up. But I wasn't concentrating on any of the ship arenas or anything at the time. And I still really don't, although I am struggling even on my big accounts, simply because of, I'm doing something wrong in whatever I'm doing with the GK ship and stuff. I don't know. It's pretty competitive too. And honestly, I get burned out on the competition. So I just kind of sit at whatever level I'm at the time. But I go hard and
Well,
fast in arena though on some of those.
Yeah.
So, but I just get
well,
frustrated with ships because you're just kind of stuck. And especially with the RNG,
mhm.
because the AI plays the enemy ships full bore. So, for example, if you're Akbar against Akbar, for example, all those ships get all the assists, and you sit there and you're lucky to get one assist.
Yeah,
So
it's annoying.
yeah, it really is. And I watch it, or the fact that I watch all these battles and you hit, and you're always left with that red sliver left. And it was like just enough that the other ship comes in and wipes you off the face of the planet, basically. And you're like,
I'll, I'll
oh man.
I'll have to send you a link to the videos I have on YouTube then, because I actually like ships. I'm against the grain on that with you guys, but when it first started, and maybe that's just because of planes and all that other kind of stuff that I enjoy, but um, I've actually done it where I go into ship's arena and I just hit auto and it just wipes them out. And I think a lot of it depends on who you put in that third slot there, because typically the AI will target that one first. And if you've got one to deflect everything to gain the extra speed, it's going to help. So, but
Oh,
I mean, we can
interesting.
we can talk about that another time.
Oh,
Well, the
definitely.
segue here,
Actually, I
though,
would love it.
yeah, we'll do that. The segue here, though, is with the new Lightside Geo territory battle, we are going to have more ships. We're going to have the Malevolence. So, what are we expecting that will potentially shake up this pretty new meta for GK and the Negotiator? What are we expecting uh, to be getting out of this, and what should we be doing now to prepare? And let's talk specifically about the ships for right now.
Well, I know from the post that the Delve sent out that ships will be actually in the first phase of the new LSTB. So we know where, the GOTB, we don't have that. So that will be a change there. I think GK ship is going to play a part in that, which is why I'm continuing on leveling up the negotiator. Some people have stopped at 5-star and they're hoarding for the Benevolence, but it's I think it's going to be a big impact. GK, in my opinion, is a much stronger ship than Mace, and I think a lot of people will agree with that. And I think it will play a big part. There may even be a special that will require the ships as well. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot of speculation right now, but a lot of us have the crew members that are leveled up. I think, we look across the board at numerous accounts, and they will have the clone troopers all geared. So there you've got added speed for the ships and everything. So I think people will do quite well with it, but it really depends on how difficult they're going to make it for us.
And you mentioned that there are kind of two different camps right now. We've got those that are continuing to go full bore to get GK up, and then those that are choosing to follow what CG seems to want us to do, or at least that's how they keep designing stuff, is to incent us to hoard for the next big thing.
Mm-hmm.
So what are the pros and cons of those two different approaches as you guys see it right now?
Oh, let's see. It's funny because they I have a feeling like the GK ship that you really do need to get it to 7 stars. People are going to hoard and stop at 6 stars and then start hoarding for the Malevolence. Honestly, either way, you're going to need those ships. So, one you're just going to get a little bit later than the other. Who knows? Because the GK ship is maybe required for one of the special missions
Yeah.
for that.
And if it's
Yeah,
later if it's in phase 3 or phase 4, it's going to have to be 7-star.
right. Yeah, and who knows? You might have to platoon the darn thing. And if you don't have it at 7 stars, you're going to kind of be screwed in phase 3 and 4 if it stays with the dark side type. 6-star for first two and 7-star for the last two. In that, so either way, the thing is that don't necessarily follow what CG wants you to do. Just do what you and or your guild would like to do. I'm just going to go. I'm going to take it as soon as I get enough. I'll take it to 7 stars, and then I'll work on the Malevolence for
Same.
that, because it's just silly to just stop and then hoard, because the tokens are meant to be spent, and unfortunately, CG has made it so that you're forced to hoard these things. That's one of the things that made the gas event so frustrating, is because, oh no, we're not going to put any more characters that you'll ever have to use for the get one. And lo and behold, there it is. And a lot of people spent that on gear.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm one of them
Mm-hmm.
that did that. So I didn't hoard. I took them at their word, saying that there wouldn't be any more characters, and unfortunately it came to that. And luckily we're doing really well in GOTB, and obviously you get the get one from TW and raids and stuff. So it's benefited, but I mean, I'm behind the 8 ball because of that.
I am too. I am too. I had a little bit saved, but not much. Not much at all. And I could just kick myself for not saving it. But at the same time, the purpose is there to be able to buy the gear that you need to increase your tunes, increase your ships, whatever it is that you need. And they're not allowing you to do that.
Right.
It's if you spend it, you're screwed. If you don't spend it, you're screwed. So, what's the catch? And that's part of the frustration that I think so many people are seeing, and why so many people have quit, basically.
Yeah, and we're going to get to the kind of
Yeah.
state of the game here in just a bit, and that's a really important one. As far as this topic, I'm not a hoarder. I can't hoard. I must spend. I will always spend whatever I have. That's both in real life and not. Just as good that my wife is not the same way.
I was
So-
like that. I used to just spend all my gear, everything. If I saw one of those green crosses, it had to be hit. It was like, oh my God, I have to hit those. So, and
Absolutely.
it took a long time for me to say, the green crosses are okay. Don't touch them.
You know what it took for me? It took getting enough characters to G12 that it pushed all those green crosses down so I don't see them right away. I have to scroll down to find them.
Oh, that's good.
Now I'm good.
Nice. Smart.
So I agree actually that I'm going to be taking GK up to 7. I can't hoard, but also we assume the malevolence is going to be great. We also know that there's going to be some other capital ships that are going to be coming into the game. We don't know where they're going to fit into the whole power hierarchy. We know that GK is good, and Hyperlite, as you mentioned, we already have the pilots. Most of us already have the pilots geared. So I think that's a team worth investing in. It's going to be sticking around for a long time, and it's likely going to be needed for whatever comes next. So for me, I'm going to just finish it off, and then I'll just start on the malevolence and whatever else comes after that in terms of ships.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Unless
It,
you're in a unless you're like super whaling or whatever, if you are a step or two behind, it's not a big deal. It really
Right.
isn't.
and look at it from a standpoint of the ships that are available right now to make a team composition. I mean, if you have the Benevolence, how many separatist ships are there, right? Yeah, this team synergy just isn't there fully compatible to the point where, compared to Galactic Republic, there's way more ships to utilize. Obviously, you can mix and match like some of us are doing now with the Houndstooth being the tank, but the game is releasing a couple of new ships, and I think that'll play a difference as well. But with the two tanks that they had launched for both the Separatist and the Galactic Republic, it'll be interesting to see what's going from there. Even though they're crewless, which is
Mm-hmm.
interesting as well.
And which I appreciate very much.
Yeah,
I
it
think a lot of
is.
people
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, it's kind of nice that they are crewless because, I can just see them start to look at like Initiate and Jedi Knight Guardian and those kind of characters. Oh, let's slap a ship on them so we force people to increase the gear and level these guys up because they're at the bottom of the pile.
Yep.
Well, I just took Plo to G13, so if that says anything, I mean, Avi, I'm ready for LSTB.
Well,
But yeah, I mean, I brought him up. I mean, he's a character I would not typically bring to that level, but he makes such a big impact in Ship's arena.
uh-huh.
So I mean, it's exactly what CG's wanting us to do, right?
Right. And if he was just tweaked a little bit as a character, he would be super, super great. As it is, he does make actually a relatively nice tank, a nice Jedi
Yeah.
tank. So I've used him quite a bit on the Jedi Knight Revan team and a couple others as a tank, and he does pull through when absolutely necessary, but not the best. But he's a fallback. Good fallback.
Yeah.
Which also kind of goes to the next side of it. Not only do we have more ships coming, but we also have these characters that are going to be required for the light side territory battle, GOTB. We are anticipating that we're going to be getting some reworks of some existing characters. We know that a couple of new ones are going to come out. Arc Trooper would be one. What type of things do you think we should be focusing on, and what have you been directing your folks to be focusing on in terms of characters for preparation for Lightside TB?
Oh my gosh.
I would say the first and foremost would be clone troopers.
Yeah.
That's across the board. Everyone's been working on them, and the Padme team. Everyone at this point, I think, has their GK. Padme, whether they're working on her or they've already leveled her to G13, C3PO, you know, uh, General Skywalker. Obviously, everyone's working towards him, and I mean, just across the board, I would say the Jedi and clone troopers to make it easy to say across the board. Specific teams, I don't know. That's something we can discuss, but um, I've just been going everything Galactic Republic.
Yeah, going to need a little bit of variety of teams, kind of like the dark side. Unfortunately, for example, like the dark side GOTB, you're kind of limited to just a few teams that you can really use to be able to get the decent amount of waves or full waves that you need for that. You can't dig into really the First Order or Imperial Troopers or any of those because they're just going to get wiped off the planet. They're just not going to exist, and they're just going to barely do like one. I can't say one wave, but they're not going to get you to the point where you need. You have to focus on just a few teams, and I imagine that's going to be the same thing with the light side. And you're going to look at
Yeah.
like your Jedi Knight Revan is going to be one of them. Your GR team, your 501st.
Well, CLS will be a great team if
Uh-huh.
we're able to utilize that as well.
So there may be some other teams, and JTR, maybe her teams will do really well. It just all depends upon the makeup of what kind of enemies you're going to be facing and what their skills are going to be. Because, like the dark side, you've got some of their skills on the enemy that some of those other teams like First Order are going to struggle against because they don't hit that hard.
Well, even in P4, right? With what is it? When fives kills kills one of the characters, they cannot be revived. So using Night Sisters, for instance, I mean that's a no-go right there.
Right, exactly.
So yeah, I agree with you. I think absolutely there'll be something along the lines of that they'll put into place, and we'll just have to watch out for that and read the descriptions when they launch it.
And it is going to be basically set up for relics. And the speculation is it's going to be harder than the dark side.
And that's really the concern, is that the dark side is ridiculously hard. And
Yeah.
mostly because it's lazy hard. All they did was they ramped up the health protection and tenacity to a point that's just stupid when you get into the higher levels. But are they going to do that same thing for light side? Is it going to be even harder? And if it is, you mentioned the teams that we have available right now. We don't have a lot of super strong light side teams. We've got a couple. You've got your Revans, you've got your Padme, and then of course Anakin, General Anakin, 501st. Those will be kind of the three. Maybe CLS, maybe JTR. One of the things that CG typically does when they go out and they release new things is they look at who we have geared, and then make sure that there's new stuff that we need that we don't have, or they will do a rework of, maybe Plo, because we've all got him at G8. You have him at G13 now, which is cool, but maybe he's going to be the new guy that we all have to suddenly gear. Do we expect any sort of those sorts of twists for CG to throw at us? Because right now, I think you mentioned Padme 501st, all these GK, most of the end game players have been working on those for a long time. And like I said, typically CG will not put the focus on the players that we already have. They will try to incent us to either bring up players we never have before, or they're going to bring in a bunch of new marquees and make us gear them. What do you guys think is going to happen there?
Well, first off, nothing surprises me about what CG does anymore after everything that's kind of transpired over the last couple of months. There's nothing that would surprise me that they would do. So I think what you're actually saying is right. I mean, maybe they'll tally to see, how many people out of the game have a certain character that just isn't leveled, and they'll position that as, okay, you need this for the special mission, and it needs to be at, 18,000. And from there, now we're going to have to gear that character, right? So I think you're right that that's one of the ways that they'll look at doing it. It may be another thing. Like I'm a little bit worried about having to, and I think it's going to happen regardless, but we're going to have to platoon General Skywalker, and there are going to be guilds that just don't have enough of him to be able to fill a full platoon, to be able to knock down the defenses or add a buff or whatever to when you're utilizing the team.
Yeah, I just kind of like with the dark side, CG just wants to cripple us as much as possible, and saying, "Oh, here, we want you to try to figure out and theory craft these new teams that will work." Well, it's a limited pool. And that's going to be the same with the light side. We might have a few more tunes we might be able to work with, but they're going to cripple us in any way that they possibly can, so that we're forced to stick or move up or stick tunes in there that we don't normally use, and they don't survive. It's like,
Yep.
yeah, it's just, that's part of the frustration, in that it's like we don't have the teams to be able to do it. The team composition and the synergy. that we need to be able to accomplish this. Because if you're throwing in an extra character that doesn't have the synergy with any of the others, it's like, well, it's no good. It's just going to sit there and get wiped out. The rest of the team might be able to make it through, but you're constantly having to end up winning maybe with 4, or you get like 3 of 4 waves, or however they're going to set it up in that sense. But like on the dark side, just for fun, I had geared up my Gamorrean guard. I like me a little bacon. I love bacon. And so he's G13, R3. He'll be R4 tonight sometime. And he's not the best character. He is a scoundrel, so I'm able to stick him in with some other teams. And I also stick him in with my Sith, actually under either Treya or EP, so that he's just an extra tank.
Interesting.
He's a great tank, actually. And he does a lot of debuffs, including expose, damage over time, and such. And he pops up that little tank thing, so he gets all the hits. And he does last a little while. Not as good as other tanks, but he does provide an extra tank. But that's a character you wouldn't normally take up, because he's not,
Yep.
he's just kind of like blah. So there's
Yeah, no,
there's
absolutely.
no great thing. And that's what's going to happen with the light side as well, is that they're going to force us to use characters that we just either don't have geared or are just blasé. Mace Windu. That guy needs a rework so badly, because he's such a great character in the movies, and then he comes out and he's crap. And he's still crap.
I agree.
He's still crap. And he is the potential for him to be reworked is so good, and he would be so great on a team to help out in whatever capacity, but he's crap.
Yeah, no,
we'll keep
I
our
agree.
fingers crossed on that, definitely.
If CG is listening to this, yeah, they Mace definitely needs a rework. He's a badass mother beep beep beep. So he deserves a rework. I think a lot of people will agree with that. He's just an awesome character across the board.
Yep. But well, first of all, I actually am hopeful that they will do that. I think they will. If they don't, if CG doesn't rework Mace, there's more wrong with this company than even I thought. And we'll get into some of that in here a second. But I expect that they're going to rework Mace. The other thing that I expect them to do, and this is having lots of people on various Discord servers up in arms with the thought of this right now, is they're going to require Rose, one of the most hated characters in Star Wars. But she's going to be needed.
I've heard a lot of talk
at some point. I don't know if it's going to be for Lightside TV, but she's going to be needed for something, probably with the episode 7, 8, and 9 content that'll be coming out here soon. So
yeah,
start preparing, start gearing your Rose now.
I admittedly have been working on her. As bad as that sounds, I don't even have her to a full 7-star yet. That's what I'm working on right now. And I'm just like, I cringe going, oh my God, I can't believe I'm wasting energy doing this. Literally. So,
well, Abby has her Gamorrean guard.
Yes, that was
I have my Rose.
Yeah, Gamorrean guard.
My Rose has been G12 for forever.
Oh my
God! I wanted two full resistance squads back when Finn actually had the awesome leadership. So I went ahead and got Rose up, and she's fine. She sucks, but she's fine. I mean, she does a couple of things. She's got a little stun and stuff. So all that. But I'm ready.
Okay.
I don't know that I'm going to get her to G13 unless they force me to, but she's at G12 now. And
yeah.
I normally don't admit that, so don't tell anybody, okay?
But I agree. I definitely think that she is someone that is going to be needed, with episode 9 coming out, that, they're going to utilize her in some fashion to force us to get her to 7-star, to get her geared to whatever number that they throw at us. And, it's unfortunate, but, it's something that if we want to progress, we're going to have to do. And that's the way I think they're looking at it as.
Yep. Well, you can kind of feel, at least I can, in the community, in the conversations, and I think even in our conversation that we're having right now, there is a sense of I don't even know how to properly put it, but there's a kind of a dissatisfaction among the player base with the state of the game right now. It's kind of the elephant in the room that we need to talk about. We've got people that are retiring, that are quitting the game. CG has done some questionable things. There have been bugs that have been going back and forth. The way they've handled those bugs has been not great from the perspective of a lot of people. So first of all, how are the two of you feeling about the game right now, in as opposed to maybe how you felt a year ago or 2 years ago?
Honestly, iffy. Really iffy. I'm just not sure what I want to do. I plug along simply because of the community, but the game is stale. And other than the fact I have way too many accounts, to which I am in the process of a mass reduction right now. I just want to focus on a couple of accounts and to be able to try to get my mojo back is what I need to do. And it's the state of the game right now with all the mistakes that have been made, not just with the characters, the glitches, but how it was handled. In that sense, there's been so much rage quitting and people retiring and just saying they stuck around for a while and then they're like, you know what? I just can't do this anymore. I don't want to log in. I don't want to do my 600. I don't want to play this game anymore because of what it's turned into. And that is super sad because there's so many fantastic people who have left the game. And it makes me very sad that it comes down to that. And CG is not listening to its customer base. What it's doing is it's supposedly pulling data and looking at the data. Well, I think that data is inaccurate because it doesn't tell you how the player base feels about it. They just go through the motion. So they're collecting data based on the motion of what's just going on, not how people are making suggestions or complaints or the fact so many people are quitting. And I'm not talking about beginners or mediocre, or not mediocre, but mid players, but high GP players. The top people in the game are quitting in droves, and they still continue to drop off a little bit by now. But that mainly started with the gas event that came out, and it was unbelievable how many people left because of it.
Yeah, that was questionable, and I'm going to get to you here in a second, Hyperlight, because you've got a unique perspective on this that we'll talk about here in a second. But one of the things that I'm seeing from the end game perspective, and the reason that a lot of people seem to be retiring, kind of like you mentioned, is that there's just a lot of times there's just nothing to do. I mean, if you are in the end game, if you're in the 4 to 5 and up million, you've got all the characters. At this point, we are forced to just farm whatever CG wants us to farm. It used to be back in the day, I got to build whatever teams. I mean, I had hundreds of characters and tons of teams that I could focus on. And what do I like? Do I want to focus on my Night Sisters? Do I want to focus on this or that? And it was fun to build those up into kind of theory craft. But as we've completed those teams and now we've got these complete rosters, there's nothing we can do but wait for the next big thing that they're going to, for the next big path that they're going to force us down. And that can be tiring. We At some point we should do a podcast and try to get CG to listen, even though they won't, on some of the things that would alleviate that for us. Things like being able to have a sandbox mode where I can go in at any time for no rewards and just theory craft and go against maybe my guild mates or something. So that would be awesome. It would give me something to do rather than just wait around and have to do the various things. But that brings up the question, is it worth it right now to start Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes as a new player? And Hyperlight actually has some insight into this because you have an account that is fairly new. So you're bringing up a brand new account like most of us did years ago. So how is that going for you? And what have you noticed is that new account any more fun? Is it more frustrating? And have there been any major changes that you've seen from what you remember the first time you brought up your account?
Absolutely. But I just wanted to touch on what you mentioned there, to chime in. I agree with what Avi said. across the board. I think the big thing that maybe they don't realize is what's really keeping this game going. Obviously, aside from all of us having passion around Star Wars, but is the community.
Absolutely.
It you know the friends that we've made, and I mean we've for us endgame players, we've made a lot of friends, and the community, we like just as a whole, whether it's your arena shard chat, ship shard chat, your guild chat, all the different servers that are out there. Discord, I think, being the most utilized chat application used for the game. And without that, I mean, this game, I don't honestly know if it would be still going to the level that it is right now. So community, I think, is the huge thing. And then for me personally, I mean, outside of the community is the time spent. I signed on to this game basically day one and have been going at it for however many years now. It's like 3 years, right? So
4.
um,
Four,
well,
yeah.
4 now. Oh my
Mhm.
god. So uh, I stopped counting after 3. I'm gonna leave it at that. So but yeah, the friends I've made, I mean, I've even met up with some of the people um, that I've been in guilds with and whatnot. So it's great. So I just wanted to touch base back on that there, and Avi made a lot of great points. So but wanted to emphasize the community aspect.
Totally agree.
Um, in regards to uh, the new profile, new account that I started up, really it dates back to what you just said about the game being stale. I was like, okay, you know what? I've done my 600. I've done all my dailies. That's it. I started a new account. I'm like, let's try something new, and see what it's like to start as a a new account. And obviously, there's two different perspectives. Someone that maybe doesn't have the experience and comes right in and starts it versus someone like myself where I've got a 5.7 million GP account, and then now I'm starting my new account's only at 200K, and I'm like, I think I'm in arena, I'm 2000 plus place. I My rewards suck, because I think Avi touched on this a bit on a previous chat we did, but people are just hoarding gear. And I mean, I look at some of these characters that are in the top 10 for arena, and they already have Darth Revan and everything. And I'm like, well, how did that happen?
Wow.
And so there's frustration with that. One of the things that they do now that, obviously when we first started the game, we didn't have guilds. And, when that got implemented, everyone was skewering, building, their 50 people. But now what they do is they progressively put you through. So as you build your GP, they'll move you to a different tier. And right now, like the guild I'm in right now is called Pride of Nexu, and it's tier 5. And the best we can do is a tier 3 um, Sith raid and a tier 5 pit raid. So, I mean, it's frustration there. I mean, I added a lot of allies that, uh, friends that I have that I added as ally codes to help me with the different nodes and whatnot. But it's extremely frustrating knowing that I know how to beat this raid, but I literally would have to wail out on certain characters to get this completed or join a guild that has completed the Sith raid to get Treya. And I can't do that because no one wants to bring on a 200K account, right? So I'm just looking
What
at it
alpha
as,
won't do
okay,
that?
yeah. So I'm basically looking at, okay, this is gonna, unless I'm gonna spend money on this is gonna take me another, however many years to get to the level where I am. So I'm just treating it as a fun count, as a for fun count. Just doing things here and there, playing around with some different ideas and team compositions. But yeah, I would say it's very different from a new player base.
My little account, which it's at 1.2 million right now, but at just when it turned 1 million, I got Jedi Knight Revan on that
Wow.
account. Yeah. So that was
but you knew how to who to farm on that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Where a new, unless people are looking at the YouTubes and stuff, they're not gonna know.
exactly.
And they still give you the those characters like Clone Wars Chewbacca, Jedi Counselor, like you still
Clone
get all those
Sergeant,
at the
yeah.
beginning and go,
Mhm.
it's all junk, right? And you're like, they still give you the junk characters. Like, give us something that we can utilize to get a legendary, right?
Yeah.
To move
And
towards
it's
that.
it's it's hard
Honestly,
to get those
it's frustrating.
legendaries or anything like that because you're having to farm all over the place. And you have
Yep.
to do these battles to get the hard nodes to be able to get to those characters, which of course they stick as high up as possible. And you're like, oh my God, this is going to take forever. Oh, and ships are even worse because they're
Oh yeah.
so those ships are so wimpy. And no matter how hard I'm working on them to try and get my capital ships up there a little bit, I can't. I keep dying all the time. I'm stuck in the same mode for quite a long time, for over a year. Honestly, over a year in the
Well,
same, and I can't move up.
well, for those new players, we may have some folks that just started playing this game that may be listening today. So, for those guys, do you have any advice as to who they should be working off right off the bat?
Uh, I think it depends what they want to accomplish in the game. What are their goals? Are they doing this to, just collect the characters and play along and get their favorite characters? If so, who is their favorite character? And then look at what legendary or what required tunes are needed to get that legendary. When I first started the account, I went right after Phoenix to get Thrawn because Thrawn has his capital ship. He's a great addition to a team, and then he's also needed to be utilized to get other legendaries. So I focused on that personally. But looking across the board, I think it would really depend what your goals are. There's loads of videos out there, so I would say just type in what you want to accomplish. We still get the same updates, obviously, for events. Like I'm looking at my account right now, and the Padme event is active. And when I go to click on it, I got required characters. I have 1 out of 5, and I'm looking at all of them. It's all separatists that are required, and I only have Genosian Soldier, which was one of the 5 characters that were given to me right at the beginning that I haven't even leveled or anything. So, to answer your question, I would say it really depends what your goals are. Um, I think there's a bunch of different pictures that they have that show which tunes you would need to level and gear to be able to get that legendary, and then how that breaks out to getting other legendaries.
Yep, absolutely. You have anything to add to that, Abby?
Well, I know that today for my little account, I got the tier 3 done for the Padme, but I can't get any further at the moment because my characters are so low geared. But it's man, when you're first starting, it's just so hard to figure out what you want to do. The best thing is to ask your guild. If you're in a guild, ask your guild mates. If you know people in other higher guilds, or if you're in a really cool alliance like Boba's, then you can ask just about anybody and they'll be able to help you kind of help focus on what it is you need to look at. But at the same time, you got to take in consideration of what you want to play yourself. If you want Thrawn, then you've got to do the Phoenix. If you want Padme, then you've got to get the Separatist done, if I'm not mistaken, or something. I can't remember exactly what it was. Um, I know my geos were involved with that. And, if you want R2, then, then you've got to focus on this team as well, or CLS and JTR. So you got to figure out what you want.
Right.
Do you want light side, dark side? Do you want some of the basic dark side tunes like Darth Vader? That's actually something that's very slow to get to 7 stars.
How do you get Darth Vader now? When we first started, you could only get him by
A
achievements.
lot of it
So
is by achievements.
but I think they've
He
opened that up
pops
now,
up
right?
in one of the token stores once in a blue moon. And I do mean once in a blue moon, not very often. If you have enough crystals or tokens to buy a few shards, get it there as well. It actually took me 2 years to get him to 7 stars. And I only accomplished that about 2 months
Yeah,
ago.
I remember it taking me a
Hello?
long time too. So, another question for you, because my advice would be to look at some of those characters that are fairly easy to get early game that we as endgame players still find useful. If not meta, they're still useful. Um, so, are there any of those characters that are fairly easy to get early on that we still find ourselves using 4 or 5 years
Geos.
later? And kind of what I'm thinking about, like Emperor Palpatine. If I recall, he wasn't that hard to get.
Right.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, he
I
wasn't
actually
that
did
hard.
did do that. So that's 5 rebels, which you can utilize any 5 rebels to get unlock Emperor Palpatine in the Emperor's demise, and that was one of the goals that I did because I know he was greatly utilized. But the breakdown on that, you will also need him in the future. I think the other one was Grandmaster Yoda. You need
mhm.
5 Jedi for that, and uh, CLS, which is a 7-star unlock. And one of the characters that they give you is usually in that first 5, which is either Luke or if you need Stormtrooper or get Stormtrooper Han, you can get from Arena Shards. But you need to have R2D2 with that, which means you need to go after R2D2 for his legendary, which is utilizing 5 Empire. So then you want to utilize Emperor Palpatine ideally because he's got that Empire tag. But yeah, I mean it's all progression going through it, right? So you need to hit certain legendaries to be able to get there.
Yeah, I think my first recommendation for folks would be to go for Emperor Palpatine because he starts those dominoes, and just as he is right now, he is still incredibly useful. I throw him in, I use him all the time. Is he meta? No, but you can come up with some interesting teams where he is very useful. And with 7, 8, and 9 content, episode 7, 8, 9 content coming out here, we're kind of anticipating that Emperor Palpatine might get a little more love here.
That's a good
Or
point. Yep, absolutely. I think the other thing that I would suggest if you're a new character is get on Discord and network.
Mhm.
There's loads of information out there. Connect with people. Uh, you know, when you're doing the light side and dark side nodes, and you have to pick an ally, you have the option to take the ally off. But add them as a friend if you can, or if you have friends that are utilizing the game already, add them as an ally because that will help you be able to 3-star those nodes and be able to farm the characters and make it'll just bottom line make it a lot easier for you across the board.
Yep, absolutely. And getting back to your and Avi's point of one of the main things that this game has brought to the table over the years is community. It's not just about the game, it's
Mm-hmm.
about the community that has been built around the game, mostly in Discord. And if you're going to get into this game, that's really what you need to tap into, both to grow, but then also to get the most out of it. There's a lot of people here that love it and know a lot, and we have developed some pretty tight relationships. So absolutely, if you are coming into this game, find a Discord server, find an alliance, come to Boba's alliance. We've got guilds of all different sizes.
Absolutely.
We'd love to have you, but getting plugged into that community is so important. It will, one, help you advance in the game much faster, learning from people that have already done it, but two, it's really the reason that I'm still here is because of the community. If it was just up to the game, as Abby and as you said, I don't know that I'd still be playing this
Mm-hmm.
game the way that it is that I do right now. But because of the friendships that we've made over the years and the interactions that we have, it makes it more fun. So I would highly recommend that new players getting plugged into that.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
agree. Absolutely.
On a side note, so I just checked my account with the arena, and so what they give is even if you're ranked 500 in ships, you get 800 of the fleet arena tokens. So you're still eligible to get like Zeta, like save up towards Zetas, and shockingly, you still get crystals at rank. I'm now at rank 3900. So yeah, I'm getting killed here. So I get 30. My Phoenix team is not holding their own. But yeah, my reward is 35 crystals, 200 squad arena tokens, and 12K in credits. So still not bad. I mean, if you're a new player, that's not bad. I mean, that will add up over time if you're free to play. Um, I think the difficult part is you're going to need to refresh or at least wait until you can get your energy refreshed to be able to get your 600 in. Which at this level, I mean, I don't think guilds are really pushing towards that. Um, but it's something to keep in mind for the future.
Once you start the habit, it's hard
Yeah.
to
Yep.
break it.
It is. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, any other advice that you guys have for new players starting the game or anybody that's looking for some of the new content, the types of things that we should all just be farming for and getting ready for Lightside Geonosis territory battles, for episode 7, 8, and 9 content that we're expecting to come up, or any other closing comments that you have?
Oh my. For the new players, just take your time. Just play it the way that you want to play it for now because you're at a stage to where you're able to do that, honestly. You don't have to go speedy fast. Just take your time, learn the game, enjoy the characters while you can. Rely on, if you're in a guild, see if you can make connections, be on Discord, find the communities, get into a really cool alliance if you possibly can in a starter guild, and you can start making connections, and that will really help you progress. And plus the social aspect is just totally awesome. In terms of the light side territory battles that's coming up, it's all speculation at this point. They're really not releasing anything as to what exactly is going to happen and what exactly you're going to be needing. So it's hard to tell people exactly what to focus on. But definitely, if you're working on your Galactic Republic, your 501st, maybe CLS, JTR, and Darth Revan teams, definitely keep those in mind. There might be one or two surprises in there that may work really, really well, but we won't know until it comes out and we can kind of play with it.
Jedi Knight
What
Revan.
did I say?
Darth,
Oh
said
Darth
Darth.
God,
Revan.
I've got Darth Revan on the brain because I've been using him so much lately. Sorry about that.
I know.
Jedi
No,
Knight
that
Revan. Yes,
I I get it. I get it. We've all had Darth Revan
on the brain for
utilized way
yeah.
way too much. Yeah, but no, I would second what Avi said. I mean, great advice for the new characters. The only thing I can add for the new LSTB, again, like Avi said, it is a lot of speculation, but we do know that in one way or another, General Skywalker is going to be needed, whether platooned or utilized, perhaps for a special mission. So work on those to be able to get uh, his legendary done, and you'll be able to utilize in the new LSTV.
All right, absolutely. And I would also echo that in that one of the fondest memories I have of this game was just starting out and collecting the characters that I liked. So do that. Take advantage of it while you can. If you can have a little bit of focus, great, have a little bit of focus. And then the one thing that I'd throw in as advice to new players is farm mods. Mods are this game.
Yeah,
You need mods.
yeah,
And speed is still king. So find if it's got a speed secondary, keep it.
Yeah.
Slice it up.
Yep. Absolutely. Completely agree.
All right. So with that, we are just about at our time now. So I want to thank both Hyperlight and Avi, as always, for coming in and talking with this stuff. And I'm looking forward to continuing our conversations going on in the future podcasts. So thank you both for your time. It's been a
Oh, it's
blast.
awesome as always.
Great. Thanks so much. Great to be on here again.
All right. Well, with that, we'll sign off. Thank you all for listening to What the Fett. We appreciate your time. God bless you. Have a wonderful night, and we will be talking to you soon.